Hello, beautiful beings. Look how I adorn the center of my crown chakra. Okay, so first, I was just doing my dishes and saw a man asking me about ascension, and I don't know who this person is, but it was clearly a conversation I was having with a man, and he was just overwhelmed with what's happening to him right now because yeah, men are waking up at a very rapid rate right now, and it can be incredibly terrifying because the mind just gets so busy, like more busy than usual, and a person, if they're not aware of the changes going on planet Earth, if they haven't been in the know of that at all, it's it feels like everything is falling apart when it's actually everything is finally coming together. So it feels like there's so many men right now just just in a panic. Where do I start? And that's the conversation that was coming in. Where do I start? And they're saying it's fine. My twin soul has been coming in recently, and since I've released all resistance around him, it's just the most beautiful interactions that we're having. And one thing that he has told me the last few days, I didn't know I was going to talk about him, but they're saying that the only reason I wouldn't have is because I would be worried about judgment from others, or people saying, "Oh, she's still talking about the twin flame, the twin soul connection." Yeah, I always will be, because it's a real thing in my life. Absolutely, 100%. Because, well, it's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart. That's for damn sure. Having a twin soul mirror me on planet Earth brought up everything from the deepest of taproots to come up so I could shine my light of awareness on them. The deepest healing I ever thought imaginable. I feel stronger than I ever thought possible, and he is a huge reason why. And after he dropped his physical form, hasn't I think it's been 6 months now. I don't know exactly when he did, but for me, it's only been about 4 months since I knew, since I had evidence of it, because the communication was changing. He was coming. He was always a part of me before. I couldn't shake him. If you watch my videos from a really long time ago, this is a huge part of has been a huge part of my ascension, is navigating this twin flame relationship. And one thing that it led to was unconditional love. That's not just love somebody no matter what they do to you or how they treat you. No, it's much deeper than that. So a couple days ago, he said I was talking to, I believe I was talking to Moonstar, and he put his hand on my shoulder because I was starting to apologize for who I am yet again. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. I'm really working on that. And he was just like, don't apologize for who you are one more time. I was like, okay, that sounds good to me. I'm tired of hearing that shit come out of my mouth, because I am a unique expression of the divine coming through this physical form. Uniquely myself, in order to help a certain amount of people. I'm not supposed to be just one way. I would not be able to help very many people that way. It has to, have you ever noticed, if you listen to Abraham Hicks, how she repeats things. She says it and she says in other words, and says it in so many different ways. Well, it just channels out that way because the divine wants to help as many as possible. Because, well, they just showed me wanting so deeply, there's so many healers on the planet that just have a deep burning desire that will never ever go out, to help humanity in a very, very big way. And so they just showed me all these throat chakra there is something to the spiritual attacks that's going on. I'm not smoking marijuana. This is all clear. This starts happening when I sit down to record a video and I start talking about light workers and healers. And I just saw so many healers, brand new babies also coming to planet Earth. They're saying, untwist your legs, put your feet flat on the floor. Okay. Full power. They're saying full power. Okay. So I just saw all the healers everywhere infiltrating the planet, and the light is consuming the dark. And that really, really, that goes back to the vision I was just having. It's scaring people. There's one person in particular, he's kind of a conundrum to me because, right, aren't we all? But in this situation, okay. Well, I highly feel that this person is a sociopath or a psychopath. However, they're showing me, can you help me explain what you're showing me? They're showing me that his persona is psychopathic. See, I've just been only seeing it in one way. That if a person is like that, that is how they are. And they have learned how to act, how to be a chameleon and act a certain way to get what they think they need from other humans. They're showing me it's not just cut and dried. I'm not saying I'm going to have anything to do with this person. No. That ship has sailed and I'm the ship. You know, they talk about your ships coming in. I was just like, that always feels and smells and tastes and sucks the soul out of me like waiting does. There is no waiting in our natural state of being. We just are. And what's that mantra I've been saying? My provision precedes me. It's right here. It's as I walk my path, everything I need. That's the definition of abundance. The truest definition, I feel, is having what I need when I need it. Yeah, I don't need to have millions and millions of dollars in the bank or in a hole in the ground. But they're saying, but I will. But I don't need that to fulfill my destiny on the planet. I don't need that to feel abundant and that I have everything I need and that I will continue to have everything I need. I used to say these things, well, not these things, but very similar, way before I believed it, way before I even felt it. But yeah, more and more as time goes by, I was able to start looking back and more logically. I've never been a very logical person. Well, I am now because I'm incredibly balanced with I'm getting way more balanced with emotion and logic. I didn't ever see the use in logic, but I do now. And so ancients, where was I going with that? Did I veer? Waiting is a soul sucker, and it is one of the sneakiest ways that the mind will come in and try to distract us from just being. I say just, it's our natural state, so we can just say just, but it's not that simple to remember it because it's too simple. Everything the mind tries to do, the persona, the personal identity tries to do to find themselves is too much. And yet there's a paradox. All these ways do lead us back to remembering who we are. There's a few different paths, they're saying, but the most simple one is the ones like the epitome of the message is Ramana Maharshi, because he was the embodiment of silence, of presence, of our own natural state of being. And when people got around him, he did speak though. I listened to him a lot through Samanari Jayasara. He did speak, but rarely. And that, people being around him, the mirror would just bring them back to their own natural state of being. I point here because this is where I feel the expansiveness of it. And the day that I remembered with Muji, this is where I felt this expansiveness that I had never, I didn't remember. I recognized it once I felt it. I knew that was me, my true self, that feeling of expansiveness. And so what about that? So many different paths to remembering. And we don't call it awakening because we are already awake. We have just forgotten. We've been eclipsed by the mind, but not really. So the conversation, the vision that I just had of talking to the man, and he said, I mean, he was just at his wit's end. Just he's out of room, they're saying. And when I say he, it's humanity on a very, well, it's humanity. I was going to say on a large scale, but that pretty much sums it up. Not every, and yes, I'm specifically talking about men because that's where the healing. They just showed me lighting a fuse, and it's just going through men. This fire, the day of my remembering with Muji, a fire started in my solar plex area, and I had a over 100-degree temperature, oftentimes 102, for a little over 2 years. That fire didn't go out. I couldn't have anything in front of my tummy. I couldn't. No, it wasn't menopause. It absolutely was not, because it started that day that I had my remembering with Muji. And I mean, it was, wow, it was intense. And I, researched and then of course Muji would talk about these things, so many things that I desperately needed the answers to help navigate me through the beginning of shedding, because the remembering really it's breaking our waters. There's no looking back. There's no, even though I did so many times through this ascension, I would look back. I would grab those automatic thoughts, from the person, and it was thousands and thousands and thousands of times it has been, of going from person back to presence. That's it in a nutshell. I still have my hand on my solar plex. I don't know why, but everything happens for a reason. Oh yes, right. And I can put my hand in front of my tummy now, and I don't break out in a sweat. Yeah, that's another symptom of menopause, is having a hot flash. But this was a constant fire, and they're saying effigy, and I thought that was the fire. But that's more balance, isn't it? I'm going to look that word up again. Oh, they're also reminding me of a bird or an animal I need to look up also, that I've recently seen. What is that? Okay, so when this man that is representing, man, men, at a, how can I say this? This one person represents men on the, like, the biggest scale. We can say it better than that. Okay. So the answer that came through when he asked me, where do I start? But he was just like, where do I start? And the answer that came through was, by facing the fears that come up when you stop lying. Wow. Wow. And they're going to need a lot of help with that. And so, especially in females, it's in our nature to help. But this is an absolutely imperative time for humanity, for healing on planet Earth, to not overextend ourselves to any masculine, to not take any of their load. We are not painkillers. We are not band-aids. We don't overextend, because I personally am so tuned in to not overextending now, in so many directions, every direction, Recently, the pop quizzes for me have been, are you going to overextend in this situation? And I'm not even really realizing it at the time, but I realize it just as soon as that interaction with that person is done. I'm like, oh, wow, that was a pop quiz. Okay, how did I do on that? I felt really insecure because I felt like this person well, I didn't take it personal. I almost took it personal, and then I would have become unconscious. But I was very aware that I have always had a certain reaction when this other person is unconscious, basically, but not really unconscious. Being unconscious, like going with thoughts and just getting knocked out, feels very similar to going through a shed. So this person that I was interacting with is going through a major shed right now, and that entails things coming up to shed, and so we like have to experience it all over again, in our mind, and sometimes attract the people to experience the whole thing again so we can do it differently. It's school here, and we all signed up for this, every single one of us. We all signed up for the specific lessons that we each have. For our soul doesn't need to evolve, but for the highest good of all that is. That's a really good reason to grow. So I feel my ears ringing so loud right now. I feel that I know that by staying in my power, and this, it has nothing to do with people that think they have power. The ego, that's not power. That's fear. Or being a bully or whatever, but that's still fear. So I'm firmly rooted in presence. So this is presence power. And I now all of a sudden have the ability, just in the last few days, one of my last videos, it was really long, 55 minutes, my longest one ever, but 55 is yet another synchronistic number. What were we talking about there? See, I'm trying to remember. I went to that video. Yeah, I'm still trying to remember. I'm sorry. Okay, anyway, so they just brought me back to the conversation I was having with this person. And after it was over, I did see how well I did, but I also saw how I overextended and how uncomfortable and insecure it made me feel. I thought I was already feeling insecure. I tend to, my persona used to feel in this feeling of insecurity when either overthinking, well, which is pertinent for this, or when I'm encountering somebody that is frustrated or angry. Just automatic. Shrink down. Super insecure, just awkward. No, not anymore, because I'm seeing it all so clearly before, and I'm seeing any physical reaction also. I am unplugging all these buttons. I really don't feel like I've ever taken that full of a breath in my whole life. There's just no end. I know I say this. There's just no end to the amount of expansive freedom, well, that we are, but that we can experience in these physical forms. And okay, that's just beautiful. I just asked them, why all of a sudden do I have, like, is it hope for men on the, an earthly scale? The men of humanity. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's good. Okay, thank you. So why all of a sudden do I feel this hope or something? Hope, is it? They're saying, well, it's clarity. It's clarity about what is happening to the men of humanity right now. That's why I can feel it. And also because I had that beautiful shift of perception in my really long video about how they said, they were like, you're almost fully dilated. to step through to my new life, well, my life that's here. Just this little bit of fine tuning, you're almost dilated, but there's this one thing that's stuck in your vibration, and that's how you still feel about men. See, I saw it just that quick though, this time, that my top lip started to curl in disdain. And I caught it right away, because that's how I starve anything that I wasn't aware of. Then all of a sudden I've become aware of it. That's how I starve that habitual way of thinking and reacting. That's how I unplug my buttons. And so I've really been practicing lately, really watching my body, keeping my shoulders relaxed. And it's crazy. It has changed my interaction with men just in the last few days. And women too. Women, just the release of resistance, they're saying, helps people feel more relaxed, more in their natural state. Wow, that's just so beautiful. And I've only encountered like one creepy guy, one guy that I would have had that I would have made the face and just had a judgment, a lot of mental activity, either for my safety or whatever, and nothing's happening. I'm in the grocery store, and it's just so beautiful, because that shift of perception, they're saying, oh, it starts way before that shift of perception. The work that it takes to have these realizations is so gratifying. And the mind may say, oh, it's taking so long. Well, life is painful anyway. So being a willing participant in this ascension process that we're all going through makes it a lot less painful. And it makes it feel productive and like I'm working towards something. Well, I've just never been able to put the fire out, no matter how much tequila I dumped in there, or Coors Light, whatever it was, alcohol wise. That was my drug of choice, because it put the fire out. It made my mind. It was the only thing that seemed to quiet my mind down. But it only took like 22 years minus 3 pregnancies and breastfeeding. I didn't drink. The day I walked out of the doctor's office and he said, "You're pregnant," I walked out of that office and never smoked a cigarette or drank alcohol. It was love for my babies, but it was, if they were born and they had something wrong with them, I would have never been able to forgive myself, because I would have been convinced that I did that to them, knowingly that I made that choice. And it was, oh man, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all, but it was. I mean, because my mind was so loud, but I needed it to be, because it got so painful, certain behaviors, that I had to face them. And that's the gift of desperation. I used to think it was absolutely horrible, but then I'd be like, wow, why do I have to hurt so bad right before a major realization? Well, they're comparing it to childbirth. Yeah. It's all like gestation, the pregnancy, 9 months pregnancy, and the whole thing over and over and over. All the lessons. So yeah, that's a beautiful place to start, is practice not lying. Because when we're lying, yes, thank you. I really just wanted them to expound on that. The importance of it, and seeing the big picture. My twin soul just popped in. He's just really sweet to me. Just the messages, well, he's here. Just the messages he gives me are just so just pure undiluted love. Yeah, there's no persona attached. There's none of that sexual chemistry anymore. It's just pure agape love. Yeah, and it's that's basically what I want in my life. When the divine sends me a partner, it doesn't mean there won't be romance, but I will know if that person wants to, is on the same frequency as me, because I'll be able to tell, even though I'm going to take my time. Everything's better. My twin soul used to say, slower is better. I'm like, you disgust me. or F you, whatever, because myself as a three major fire signs, and throw a little bit of water in there. I want to go faster than fast, like I talk. But my twin, of course, was like a full blown Capricorn, and he was a very fixed Earth sign, and he moved slower than I ever thought was possible. So we were obviously the two extremes. So what were you saying? What were you saying about that? Nothing. Okay, so he just came in, and he's just very loving and non-judgmental, of course. I've asked for help for a long time to slow down, and just like with the crying, I was really embarrassed about it for a long time. The amount that I would cry, but they showed me over the years, and they're reminding me right now that this healing requires a lot of crying. I was doing it right, just because I don't see other people expressing themselves like quite like that, or just openly crying, or when the checkout person at the grocery store says, "How are you doing?" to actually tell them. That's what I did, because it has to be real. I was saying that since I was tiny. Is it real? And yeah, I remember saying that. And the where I was coming from was and I've been talking to the divine about this recently. Why did I say that when I was little? Is it real? They said because you were comparing it to home, because it's not really solid at home, because we don't have these physical forms, but we still exist. And it's so much different here that I would pick up. One thing in particular was something my grandmother gave me. It was a aquamarine necklace with just a beautiful stone. It was so sparkly and shiny. And I said, "Is it real?" And nobody understood what I was talking about. I did. But I did, I was like 5 or 6 or something at that point, maybe a tiny bit older, but I knew how I was saying it. It wasn't from a place of, is it a real stone? That wouldn't even have crossed my mind. Well, because I wasn't really using my mind yet. I was still just coming from my heart space. And that's what conditioning is. And it's nobody's fault. But like myself, I tend to take things literally when somebody says it, and they're showing me, I have never seen this before about her, that my grandmother did too. My grandmother on my mom's side, grandmother Lynette, she took things very literally. And when I said that, she said, and this is like, wait a second, oh, I did something bad, but that's not it. I know that may seem sad and may feel sad, but that's what happens. That we sign up for this. We sign up for the forgetting so we can, okay, unwrap your legs, put your feet on the floor. Thank you. So we can remember. People call it a game. It doesn't feel like a game. I wouldn't want to play a game that hurts that bad. But before we come here, when we're still at home, all of us, yes, every single one of us, we will go back home. There's different levels of learning. We're not all just in one place. We are, but we're not. Anyway, okay, that was a beautiful visual. Okay, but that's going to make me bunny trail big time. Okay, so why are my shoulders up? Because I don't want my arms on the cold table. Okay, I'll just move back a little bit. I'm so aware of just having my shoulders completely relaxed now. Okay, what were we talking about? Lynette, yes. She scolded me and said that it was disrespectful, that I shouldn't ask if things are real. It's a gift. And I remembered that message that she gave me, but it hurt me. It hurt my stomach. I didn't realize I was so empathic, and so I was picking up on her judgment and just how she was feeling. And I didn't understand it, but this is what we do to survive. We conform. Because how do we survive without adults? And they're conditioning us to be a certain way from their conditioning when they were a little kid. And so on and so on. And seeing the biggest of pictures really has helped me have compassion for people in my life that were doing the very best they possibly could. And that goes mainly, I'm talking about my dad. We're so close. And it took a lot of work, because we agreed before we came here that he would be this mirror for me, so I could reach my highest potential. And he did a really good job. He's laughing. He basically, I see his face, but that's really all he comes in as, is a big smile, a big smiling face. Yeah, he's saying that he enjoyed my visit with my little mother Ocean today. I know. Yeah, you were the raven. Mom said, "Oh my gosh, there's a raven on the fence." She said, "I never get ravens here." And I said, "That's Dan." My twin soul. She goes, "No, that's Pete." I said, and then I went to the bathroom a while later. I went to the bathroom and the ancient said, "Yeah, that was your dad." So I went back in the sunroom and I was just like, "Yeah, I told her." She said, "I know it." When my dad dropped his physical form, it's like over 6 years ago now. It was like the next day. Uh, we were talking about it. We've been talking about it recently. Dad sent her 2 bald eagles that sat on the fence across the slough. Yeah, they'd been there in that house, Mom still is, for a really, really long time and had never seen that before. She knew right away. Absolutely knew right away. She took a picture of them, like zoomed in, and oh, just breathtaking. And so then when my twin soul dropped his physical form, was it right before or right after I found out? It was right before, like days before I found out that he dropped his physical form. I was walking towards the front of the park here, and here comes an eagle, and I always just revel in it. Somebody thought that there was a lot of eagles here where I live. Maybe they were trying to figure out what part of Montana I live in. I don't know. He's just like, "Yeah, it's infested with eagles where you live." And I was thinking, well, maybe in Alaska, but they're not infested here. When you see eagles a lot, I intuitively know it's the same eagle that I saw, a few days ago. There's just something to that. So I just revel in it. And that's one reason that I have a moonroof in my car, is so when I see an eagle, I can slide that moonroof back and pull over and watch them. And so, oh, it's just always such a beautiful message, isn't it? No matter what animal or bug. What is the animal that you guys want me to look up that I'm forgetting? Okay, so I was almost to the front of, well, I was to the front of the park, and I saw this eagle coming, and so I stopped, and I was just like, "Hello! I'm so happy you can hear my voice in your ears. Like, you can actually hear my voice in your ears." It's just something about it. And they always come and remind me that there's a bigger picture. And this eagle, I was just riveted on it, and I had my glasses on that day too, so I could just see it so well. And it looked down at me and circled and disappeared in these trees, and then came back around and was looking at me and circled again. And then flew away. And I had never felt like that. I can't even really describe it. I knew something had just happened. Like, of course, majorly, that's never happened in my whole experience on planet Earth this time. I knew it wasn't my dad. I felt like it was Dan. It feels really good to say your name finally. Oh, consistently. No, not consistently. Freely. Yeah, I felt like it was him because there was this, when I was convinced that we were twin souls, because of just everything that was happening. Oh, it's rough. It's a rough one, but I really admire the shit out of anybody that signed up for it, like my mom and my dad. They're twin souls. So there was this test to see if you were actually twin souls. Okay, you can't bother me right now with your story about it, okay? Because I'm it's hard for me. They call it ADHD, but I don't know any different. It's just who I am. But I've gotten really good at, well, us tuning in so they can remind me, unless I go off on a tangent like this again and then I forget. Just be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Yes, the story. Yes, so there's this this thing where if you look in, like, close your eyes, you know, see where you're at, but then close your eyes and then open your eyes at the same time. And you're looking into each other's eyes, and they said that there's some type of reaction. It didn't say what, but there is some type of reaction. And I had no idea what to expect. And so he took his glasses off. I wasn't wearing any at the time. And we didn't get like in kissing distance. You know, I was really good at keeping my distance, even though I said, yes, we have hugged or whatever, but we were never, ever inappropriate. So, and we absolutely knew that it had to be that way, 100%. So we got our eyes, we were best friends. We were like childhood friends, you know. Yes, we were off the charts, wildly attracted to each other, but it was different than that. There wasn't always that sexual like undertone. I didn't ever feel creeped out around him. Yeah, I felt safe with him. And that's important, because that word's been coming up a lot lately. That's one way that, you know, over time, I'm going to know that it's my divine partner that has come in for me, which is, he's here. He's thinking about me. I just don't know who he is yet. I really don't know. I don't need to figure it out, because he's going to cross my path. But he is, what's that quality? I will feel safe with him. Consistently safe. That's okay. It wasn't the wrong word, was it? So where were we going with that? Yes, so we looked into each other's eyes, and I mean, it was, I jerked, my whole body jerked, and I saw eagle eyes or hawk eyes. And throughout the years of this ascension and our separation while he was still on planet Earth, I called them predator eyes. Because he wouldn't reach out to me and have a conversation so I could get closure with this. But that's not how it was supposed to be. I was supposed to survive it, so I would know how strong I am. That's what the ancients have always said to me. Even before I knew about the ancients, I have believed in something for as long as I can remember. First, it was the moon. I don't know if I've ever told anybody that, but I felt like the moon was alive and it was watching me and it was helping me. Yeah. So it really doesn't matter what a person believes is helping them, as long as, I mean, I feel it's absolutely crucial and imperative to, if a person doesn't have a belief that something is helping, something that they can say, please help me, or please help me see this differently, you know, please help me. And then the answer comes. That's how it works. That's telepathy. That's how we talk to each other. That's how everything happens when we're at home without these physical forms. All we do is think it. And I asked Jonathan, when I got to ask him a question on YouTube. He's Elaine Thorpe's twin soul, and she's a trance medium, and she channels him. I said, what is thinking and how does it work? Ah, what a question. I mean, I could barely contain myself. And when I heard my name come up, because I just kept typing in the question over and over and over again, I was just like, I don't care if I annoy people. This is how I'm going to get this question answered, by this being without a body. Oh, it was so beautiful. I wrote it down and I have read it, but I will get it and I will read it to you again very, very soon. But when I would ask the ancients, what is thinking and how does it work? They said thinking is how we communicate. It's communication. And that's one of the first things Jonathan said. It was profoundly beautiful. The very first thing he said is thinking is consciousness. And he just really, really got deep into it. And just how, because I can be working on overthinking and have an idea how much thinking I need to get rid of, when I really have absolutely no idea. It's all about just releasing, you know, healing. I should just take that word out. It's about healing whatever comes up as it comes up. We don't need to dig for shit. Once we're willing to shine our light of awareness on it by dumping alcohol on it or whatever drug in an addictive behavior, in an addictive way or an escapist way, and we're willing to face it, it'll start coming up. There's no stopping it. And there's so many guides on planet Earth that are here to help in ascension. All it takes is a bit of willingness. And right before, like we were just talking about in one of, I think, yesterday's video, there's a moment where evil forces, I feel from my own experience, come and try to grab me by the ankles right before I'm ready to have a breakthrough. Yeah, it's, I'm not gonna, no. They're saying put your feet flat on the floor. Yeah, they just showed me a person getting to a certain point in pregnancy where they're just about ready to have the baby. They're saying it's exactly the same as these level ups that we go through, and we get to another point. And if a person gets too scared and they don't want to go any further, but their soul does. Our soul signed up for this and always wants to go further, always wants to feel more free in this physical form. However, this is a part of it feels like, oh my gosh, I've been here before, because I'll get to this certain point. These lower forces come in as all these different things that grab my attention and take my mind off of where I was going. But there's always another do-over. They're saying there's always a chance. It's the shedding process. It's the most divine paradox ever. It may feel like we're doing it wrong by, oh my gosh, I was so unconscious and I went back. But if we're learning something from it, then it's not useless. But the just continuing it on every single day like a zombie, just stuck in this washing machine of fear and dread and regret and remorse and just the really lower sludgy vibrations. It just takes strength and courage. Yes, I did just say just, but that's really, the mind will overcomplicate it. Well, I don't know how to start. Where do I begin? Stop lying. Stop lying. And that releases the clutch that fear has on a human being. I stopped lying. I started practicing not lying in 1989 because my beautiful therapist, Barb, I went to treatment for anorexia, and she said, and I told her how much I lied. I said, I lie even when I don't feel like I need to lie. It's like a habit now. She said, confusing, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, it's making my mind so much louder. I knew that it made it so much louder than it needed to be. And that was a major way. Like that conversation we were having, we were knee to knee. And she looked at me and she said, you're special. She said, there's something about you. And she was one of my angels because she could see me amidst all the crazy mind shit. She could see exactly who I was, and I could feel that. And she didn't say I was special in an egotistical way at all. She was just being a mirror for me when I needed it really bad. It was absolutely beautiful. So what was our point? So I made a vow to her that very, very moment that she said, okay, you want to stop lying? She said, the minute you walk out of here, this door right now, I wasn't leaving treatment yet, but I was to start that day. Anytime I lied to somebody, I had to go back and tell them. And I did. And it was incredibly humiliating and embarrassing. And it was incredibly difficult. But I fought my way through it because I knew that it was going to help me get better. And yes, that was a long time ago. I had a very long road to mental recovery. Yes, but the brain is neuroplasticity. I know that word, but how do you say it in the way that I'm trying to say it? Neuroplasticity. Nope, that's the only way it's coming out. So it can heal. And that's been one of the questions I've been asking the ancients lately, which is the divine. Jesus, Paramahansa Yogananda, you name it. They're an ancient. And they don't always come through as individuals like that, but oftentimes they have. When I needed them to appear as a certain physical form in my life, it gave me the most courage and the best message that I needed. So So I had asked them, it still surprises me when the answer comes in, if you're ever wondering, because it's blank. I absolutely have to get to where I'm not trying to remember what I just forgot. That's the key. And that takes a lot of practice too, but it's worth it. All of this is so worth it. So so what was I just saying? What were we just saying? Yeah, so I had been asking if my brain was still injured in the ways that it was. And they said no. No, because, well, I didn't get anything at first, but they've been showing me through videos different things that the mind can. What's the video that we're talking about right now? Oh, okay. I'll leave him in the description box. He was talking about our brains a couple days ago. I just can't stop listening to him. He's absolutely amazing. I hope you feel the same way. He speaks my language, they're saying. They keep saying that. And I'm just so fascinated because he's talking about the mind so much, so specifically, and just ascension, you know? Oh, just the most beautiful people are sent to me. So now I know for sure that my mind is fully healed, my physical brain, and, well, it didn't get physically injured, but the neural pathways that are constructed like roads in our minds from habitual ways of thinking and feeling, certain emotional responses to things, you know, PTSD, it really, you know, it really can create trenches where it looks like maybe your car got stuck in the mud. And so it takes a while to get out of the mud and to heal the scars that it left vibrationally. They're saying really heal that in our brains, our physical brains, because they're like a conduit. They help the crown chakra. They help us. The brain, the physical brain, helps us. I'm just getting this information. Helps us, you know, to download information. It's basically, you know, our computer, because our actual brain is our heart. That was really beautiful, you guys. That was so beautiful. So my brain is totally healed, and there's nothing but flowers there now. Flowers and sunshine and unicorns. My beautiful unicorn subscribers. It's so exciting that you've stayed with me for so long, because I know what's coming. I know what's here. They've been really correcting me lately, and that's just off the charts exciting, isn't it? When I used to say it's coming, or I know what's coming, they didn't correct me. But then I realized, by saying, a while back now, by saying it's coming, well, that's vibrationally what I'm putting out there. So I've had to, well, because presence, it's all here. It all comes from presence anyway. It doesn't come from out there. It just looks like it does. It won't come to me unless I'm present. And that may seem discouraging for you because you don't feel like you're present, but you are presence. Your mind just hasn't caught up yet, your persona. And so that's what the ascension process is all about. And it is a process. And we're here to help guide you. If you're drawn to us to help guide you through that, if not us, somebody else. But just don't give up on yourself, because you are a beautiful being having a human experience. And it may not be the best experience because we have been conditioned for so many lifetimes, millions of lifetimes, they're saying. And so in order for humanity to survive, planet Earth to survive, ascension is taking place. And, you know, at a very rapid rate now they're adding. And they're showing me the domino effect with the men of humanity. That's so beautiful. And so as long as we just came full circle, didn't we? So as long as us, as the divine feminine, every single one of us, as long as we remain in presence to the very best of our ability, and in every situation, encountering, encounter with the men of humanity, we are as aware as we possibly can be to our intuition, to how we are feeling, way more than what is coming out of his mouth, because they're drowning right now, they're saying. And you know what the drowning do? So no, we're not life rafts either. Painkillers, life rafts, band-aids, no, they will not survive. They're saying they will, this is serious, they will not survive the men of humanity unless we make it to where they have to walk on their own 2 feet. They're going to drown in regret. Yep. Wow. Okay, so I feel like the masses of us divine feminine are standing in our power, and that's not an ego power. That's finally seeing how much we've been overextending, and that true love comes from overflow, from our well-being, from presence. That's why I can take such a full breath now. I don't have anything obstructing my channel, they're saying. There will always be levels to work for, things to work on. My level of awareness, fine-tuning my spidey senses, trusting my intuition more and more and more. Different information that's going to come through. It's just beautiful. There's just no end to it. But there is an end to how painful this ascension process is. But the pain is productive. It's you can't have a baby without some pain. Even women that get C-sections, they have to go through some major pain before they get to the C-section. Most I feel most pregnant women do have to go through a certain amount of pain. And if not, I was saying, okay, well, we can't put a blanket statement on that. That's why I was kind of jamming up, because it felt like a blanket statement. They're saying that certain levels of pain, physical and emotional pain, force us into a new way of seeing, because it's just too painful. It pushes us more into presence, they're saying, more into our own natural state. So if we are coddling the men of humanity at this point because they're starting to hurt, were they reaching out and saying, oh my God, can I do anything to help you through this ascension? No. This is not a vengeance thing though, but try to remember that, because what's triggering in us when they come to us lovingly, super lovingly, but you know that they haven't changed. When my old persona that I've recently cast off, when that would react to that sweetness, that was my mirror. He was being my mirror to be fully present and go, wait a minute, this is just a loving feeling I'm getting because this person is acting loving because he wants something. It's not real. Real is if that person is diligently working on themselves and actually having a conversation with you during the day, the light of day, when they're not drunk, from their heart. And I can tell the difference. So I've been confused about, I thought, yeah, but they're just showing me that some people that I've thought was a psychopath, and I'm saying, I've said this before, it doesn't mean I'm going to let him in my life, but it helps me see the men of humanity in a more expansive way, to see that there is hope, that he could, this specific person I'm talking about, there is hope for him. If he stops, cramming the resentments down with alcohol or blame, stops lying and starts owning his part in things legitimately, not to just get something he wants, he could change. He could become himself again. But even better than he ever remembered, because I feel this person, he's been like this for a long time, a really long time, just like this fearlessness, lacking this fearlessness. That's a huge sign of a psychopath or sociopath. They are fearless. It's just all so fascinating. I've always been incredibly fascinated by by people that don't seem to have the same emotions. And I just asked them, why have I been so fascinated? And they said, to better protect myself. That makes perfect sense, because psychopaths and sociopaths can act like the absolute perfect man for us. And that should be the first red flag, because, us humans nobody's perfect. And sure, we're going to put I'm not, I'm just going to be myself, but the ones that are still unconscious will put their best foot forward to impress us, to get what they want. And no, that's why things take time. And so a huge way to see if this person is for real is just by how they talk about what they're working on themselves. Not just one time, because you were talking about it. Some people, you throw the word the divine out there, or meditating, or even praying, and that they don't do any of this stuff. Yeah, I have so much faith in the men of humanity now, and I have just the utmost respect and admiration for the divine feminines that have done so much work. We can't even explain it to anybody, nor do we feel the need to explain how much work we've done to get to where we are, so we can help all of humanity, not just the men of humanity, but all of humanity. And a lot of unconscious women also that are stuck in unconscious relationships. They've reached their breaking point too, they're saying, more and more and more. And it's so beautiful that more and more people are getting desperate, because they'll break out of that shell that they're in right now, that mold. And also, I'm in a place, which if I'm in this place, millions of other healers are in this same place of feeling firmly rooted in presence. So when the drowning do come, they cannot climb on top of me, because I'm not overextending. That was a very beautiful analogy. Thank you so much. Wow. So I think that's it for now, but I just want to show you what my oldest sister, Alethea, that's her spirit name, that I gave her a long time ago, she just gave me for my birth to Earth Day. Isn't that beautiful? I was with Ocean today for a while, and I was rubbing that lamp, and I'm going to leave the lid off of it so the genie can come and go. And she gave me this Buddha, and I'm going to look up what this represents, particularly this little statue here. I know it means abundance in every area. I do know that, but I can think I know the meaning. Oh, my mind says, throws out this meaning. Oh yeah, good luck, abundance, blah, blah, blah. But I want to look up the meaning, get the message that they're trying to give me. And she also gave me this candle holder. Isn't it beautiful? Oh my gosh, she gets me the best presents, and I've just been an ass. I haven't gotten her anything. I don't remember the last present I got her. And she gets me the most magnificent things. The things that match me. Things that I absolutely love. Things that I'm just like, oh my gosh. And the card she gave me was just so heartfelt. We've been feeling a lot of love for each other, just in the last week. We haven't interacted a lot for a really long time. And just recently, they started saying, just love him, about this certain man in my life, because I was feeling some, that resistance, and also about other people. Just love her. And because I'm safe to, I don't have to put my guard up, or my mental wall of judgment against that person. No, it's my gift of discernment that keeps me safe. Trusting my intuition keeps me safe. And not reacting keeps me safe. And if you don't understand why not reacting keeps me safe, we would love to talk to you about that. Yeah, that takes practice too, because it's so emotionally charged, especially if we're dealing with somebody incredibly toxic. It's very, very easy to react, because they know how to hurt us. Yeah, so I think that's it for now. Is that it, Ocean? Is that it, Ancients? Is she going to call me? Is that is that why I just said her name? Oh, she messaged me. Okay. All right, that's it. satsangwithmamaji@gmail.com. We love you so much.